Now back to Canberra. Joining me is the Liberal frontbencher, the Shadow Minister for Communications and Women, Melissa McIntosh. Melissa, thanks for your time. First of all, let's just start with the Parliament. You, one of few women representing the Liberal Party. It's quite the task you've got ahead of you and Susan Lee and the rest of your leadership team to try and rebuild right now as you see the numbers in the Parliament with just 43 seats remaining for the coalition.
I think we can't have our heads in the sand. It's quite obvious that the Australian people had their say at the last election, and you can feel it in the House. The government certainly does have the majority. It's pretty light on our side. But even though the climb is momentous, we're ready to go. We're ready to hold the government to account. There are still millions of Australians who did vote for us. Already this week, we've been pressing the government on what it seems to be a tax on Australian superannuation savings. I know that many thousands of Australians wouldn't have thought that was coming. So this is, day two into question time. There's already questions around the government's transparency, around the government's commitments and promises to the Australian people. That
makes sense to unify behind that issue because everyone in the coalition can agree on that one. And as I say, that made sense in terms of the strategy, but it must be frustrating to Susan Lee as she's trying to establish her presence as opposition leader, have some of the National Party kicking up a stink.
It wouldn't be the coalition if there wasn't some theatre and drama. Susan's a very experienced politician. She's been here a long time. She's worked with the Nats for a long time. It's probably not all that unexpected, and that's their right, and that's part of the beauty of the coalitions. It's what's developed some really wonderful policies.
Do you feel that she's helped? Obviously, as we say, it's a tough climb. You've got a huge battle ahead of you to try and rebuild, but do you feel that this first week has helped shore up her authority within the party, her position, Susan Lee?
We had a democratic process and I think that vote shored up her authority. Getting into Parliament now, it's been a long wait for us, for the government to bring back Parliament, has enabled us to start prosecuting some of what we're seeing are policy gaps or potential broken promises. Even in my own policy area, we're waiting on the government to release details, particularly around the social media ban that's coming up.
So on that, let's pick up on that because I do want to focus on this as Shadow Communications. The legislation passed Parliament before the election, but your concern is that parents don't know what platforms, whether it be YouTube or whatever else, is included within that social media ban. Is that not clarified yet?
Yeah, that's right. And we need to remember the intent of this policy, and it's around protecting Australian kids. And we can talk about what's in or out, and some people get really quite worked up about this. But first and foremost, we need our kids who are being bullied, who are exposed to really inappropriate content to be protected because something isn't working. But we don't know right now. We're waiting.
Has the government given us a sense of when that might be coming, the clarity on that?
We're hearing in the corridors sometime soon. There's a deadline for the 10th of December that platforms will have to have made reasonable steps to put those bans in place. But we don't know which platforms. We don't know what platforms need to do. There's a lot of unknowns.
Right and just finally, as Shadow Minister for Women, the optics of having a female leader, do you think that in itself is a way to get people to start, or women particularly, to open their minds to the coalition, the Liberal Party once again?
It's a step in the right direction, but Susan got there on her own merit. It's going to be up to us to listen to Australian women, to listen to families and develop policies that appeal to Australians, not just women. But we obviously lost the election for a reason, so right across the board we'll be reflecting on that and doing some really hard yakka work on developing effective policies and holding the government to account as a good opposition.
Well, given that you're one of the few Liberals in an urban seat, albeit an outer urban seat, still Lindsay is part of Sydney, and I guess they'll be listening to you as part of that rebuild. Melissa McIntosh, I thank you as always for your time.